Miigwech Shirley. I've been asked to bring the welcome on behalf of the Planning Committee and also to acknowledge the land that we're on, so I'll do that now. I have been, and I shared yesterday as we were doing the welcome, I've been taking Ojibwe lessons from an elder, and she's been teaching me how to bring a welcome in Ojibwe. So it's not perfect yet. I've been practicing, but I'm going to do my very best. Bonjour, Wachie. Minogijap, which means good morning, and welcome, bienvenue. Chimigwech, Gadinanim, Mampiayayeg, Nangum. Gichitwa, Gijigak, Nakwesh Kagoyek, Wasagabin Jabayak. Mampisa, Bawitagong. Mewijaka Anishinabek, Onjin Kwesh Kodadwad. Oma Bawitagong, Beshaoma, Gichitwa, Manijibing, Naweing Oma, Gichigamin. Merci, thank you for being with us on this very special day as we welcome visitors from across the country to this historic area, Bawitagong, which means rapids in Ojibwe. Bawitagong, or Bawating as some say, has long been a gathering place for the First Nations peoples of this area. It is wonderful to see today over 250 delegates and 110 organizations gathering in our community over the next 2 days to further our collective and individual commitments to reconciliation. It is significant as part of Algoma University's commitment to be co-hosting this year's forum in the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory, the traditional territory of the Anishinaabeg Nation and Métis Nation, specifically the Garden River and Batchewana First Nations and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis community. We want to acknowledge and recognize the Anishinaabe people who have long had a connection to this area and to the site on which Algoma University and Shingwak Kenomagegamik is situated. This land that was set aside in the 1800s for the education of the Ojibwe people and the fulfillment of Chief Shingwak's vision of the teaching wigwam, a place that would be a place of cross-cultural learning and teaching. As part of our acknowledgement, Algoma University has made it a priority to ensure that all who study, visit, and work here have the opportunity to understand the special history and geography of this site, overseen by the Shingwak Trust, and that as a community, we continue to acknowledge and respect the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people for the teachings and knowledge they bring to the educational experience of those who choose to learn, teach, work, and visit here. As part of our commitments, we also pledge to remember and to pay respect to the children who lost their lives, who are buried in our cemetery, and they lost their lives in the Shingwak Indian Residential School. We support our survivor community, the children of Shingwak, for the important work that they have done and continue to do to ensure the truth of the residential school time period in Canada's history is told. We also pledge to our young people to be good partners to Shingwak Kenomagegamik as they work very hard over the next decade to bring forward traditional knowledge, traditional teachings, to reignite the culture, the spirituality, so that their young people can also heal and move forward in their journey. This forum is very special. It's the 5th anniversary of University Canada's commitment to reconciliation and to the forum. And on behalf of the Planning Committee and the 5 host universities, just want to share with you some of what I've heard from the 5 institutions, from the various players that have been in and out of the planning over the course of the last year and a half. People want us to recognize the the really good work that has happened in this country already. It is important to many people to acknowledge and celebrate what we've done. But there is also, in every conversation, this feeling of hope, this nervousness that we've been at this work, we've been at this work for a long time. In fact, some challenge the word reconciliation, as I mentioned before. What our group has been talking about in the planning is the worry that, you know, universities will start to see this as, we did this, right? The worry that politicians will say, we did this, check. There is a bit of a reconciliation fatigue that we have to challenge in this country. And so how do we do that? How do we keep reconciliation at the forefront? Because we're not done this work yet. We're not even close to being done this work. Reconciliation doesn't have a time period. We are talking about challenging you to think about the next 5 years, but we know this is going to go on much beyond that. We're just trying to make it something that we can tangibly say, where do we want to be 5 years from now when we retire the paddles? What do we want to say we accomplished in this next chapter of the journey? That's why we chose the canoe. We're on a journey. We want to be paddling together. So the theme of the forum is very, very important to us because it talks about coming together as a country, collaboratively, collectively. Indigenous people, non-Indigenous people. Our world is challenged right now by some very, very, very complex problems. Chief Shingwak's vision is bang on, right? He knew that for his people to live in harmony with the European settlers that were coming to Canada, he needed to learn from the European people that were coming here. He wanted to understand their language, he wanted to understand some of their customs, some of their teachings, because he felt it could make his nation stronger. If we come from that premise, that we can learn from and with each other, all cultures bring teachings that can help us solve things like world hunger, the environmental challenges we're dealing with, population issues, right? Water. There's so many things that we can solve together as part of this whole reconciliation effort. Reconciliation for me is much bigger than dealing with what happened in residential schools. It's a big part of it. But it's about living in harmony in this world and celebrating diversity, multiculturalism. And so over the next 2 days, our hope, our wish as 5 host organizations is to provoke you, is to say, let's not be happy with status quo. We have a lot of work to do. And we want you to open up your minds and your hearts to think about what is my contribution going to be in this next 5 years. Miigwech, thank you for listening. Thank you to everybody who helped with the morning ceremonies. And I look forward to the next 2 days. Miigwech.